So,
Alright, let's get into it then.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty quick introduction. That introduction being, hello guys, how are you all doing? We are somewhat inefficient at managing the time, at guessing how long it's going to take till the players show up. And as such, Go4 number 212 grand final, best of 3, which is not being reflected into the map ban overlay. Let me just change that real quick. There we go. And yeah, our first map of the day is gonna be Coastline. With that being said, do you wanna delve right into it?
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting things to look at about Coastline. Now, Coastline is a huge utility-based map. It's going to be big for fragging, especially in the recent meta. It's huge for kind of an all-out team deathmatch style. I would definitely say that our bans are most likely going to be towards, right, the utility operators, such as Dokkaebi, Jackal, right? Dokkaebi kind of a little bit surprising due to the fact that you would normally see something like a Nomad or a Gridlock, somebody who can give security to the attack. You would see her being taken away, but Doke isn't necessarily less useful due to the fact that she could be huge for roam clear. Now, what this tells me, or us as casters at least, is that they don't want somebody who can aid in roam clear, and they want to be able to have free reign over the top floor or the bottom floor. So what that ban could be is it could be definitely huge for the roam on the defense. It definitely could lead to some round wins for that.
Absolutely. And you know, roaming really is a major phenomenon in this map. I think everybody knows that. And it is still, to me, somewhat surprising that the roaming game is so important, since, you know, there's only two stairways for going from the first to the top floor, to the second floor rather than, you know, 3 staircases, which would in theory make it so much harder for the defenders to you know, rotate around the objective. Or another example is on the roof. You can look into like these inside walls, since the map is basically a ring, right? So there's a few corridors which are really easy to shut down. And as such, it kind of remains a mystery to me how and why the roamers are still so prevalent in this map. It's really surprising to me, and this really does go to show that the players are aware of that, since, like you said, both attack-sided bans are definitely going into the anti-roaming territory here.
Well, to kind of answer your question in a way, roamers are big for shutting down the attack strategy and wasting time as much as they can, and this map is entirely no exception to that rule, due to the fact that roaming on Coastline, even though it is very close quarters engagements, it is essentially one-on-one. Like, you are wasting time right up in their face for the attackers, and are attempting to shut as many players as you can down without having to get traded back.
Yeah, absolutely. This this was a real nice analysis of the map, and we're gonna be seeing the theory put into practice, as Chap here is absolutely roaming. He seems to be more or less playing a lone wolf scenario. Like, no other teammate is going to be in the general area to get the refrag should, you know, such a situation open itself up. So the pressure is already mounting on the objective itself. But, you know, looking into it real quick, I don't see too much pressure being mounted on the roamer, the lone roamer himself. So this seemingly unilateral push will be quite interesting to take a look at, because to be honest, couldn't tell you how it's going to pan out. Usually you would want to, you know, drone out the building as a whole, know where the defenders are, whether or not to try to find a seemingly easier way in. But here they're really just going for the face-to-face, you know, headbutting strategy, just hoping to have a thicker skull than their opponents.
For sure, right. Yeah, the Bon is already walking right into Aqua. She knows she can take it, and she knows what she can get away with, so it definitely could be huge for the attackers making their rounds through, well, right into the objective, if you want to call it that. But we're also going to be seeing lots of roaming presence, but not necessarily in the way that the defense wants it to be, right? They're kind of a little bit off-site at the moment and out of the way of the actual attackers, so that definitely could lead to ineffective roaming, and on top of that, really hard rotations should the attack take control of the site, which of course they're setting themselves up for this security. You already have a 3v3 situation. You got your Hibana, your Twitch down, but at the same time, you have Smoke, a huge point denial operator, and Vigil, a big roamer down. And wow, just like that, Sirius is going to pick up another. That's on your Blackbeard, which leaves the IQ and the Zofia themselves to have to make an execute about 1 minute on the clock.
So the one thing I did not hear you comment upon, so I believe you missed that. The diffuser was actually being planted by Hibana, but then the Nitro through the ceiling ended up getting the kill. So this is where the total lack of, inside roaming or, in a larger sense, map control really did come up to bite them in the butt. Protest champions here winning the first round in a fairly easy manner as soon as they got the diffuser down in the bomb site without it being planted, of course. Well, that really just did put the attackers on the back foot. They had no way, no chance to get it back without exposing themselves to terrible dangers, and this is how everything kind of just spiraled out of control.
Right, so I like the pace of the attack. I like how they were able to play very dominantly, walk right into the objective, but of course there's a double-edged sword to that. It's all about security. It's all about that post-plant happenings where you can secure a good plant, but at the same time, you also keep the defenders on their feet, and you are very quick with your pace, and you're not wasting too much time. So I feel like they definitely could have taken a little bit more time to play methodically, know where the defenders were, instead of making an all-out push right into the objective, kind of forcing the defenders to shift around, because at the same time, the defenders were waiting for that. It forced the attackers more so to shift around than anything else, and they really just lost out their engagements in their firefight.
Yeah, it really did come down to a few key firefights that ended up being lost. And so far, you could just say Protest champions have the superior accuracy, reaction time, awareness, all that good stuff that ended up to them basically winning their engagements. You could also just put it away as to both teams kind of trying to get a feel for their opponents. Now that Haha Sub might be expecting their opponents to be really good duelists, really good at winning gunfights, they may try to go with a more methodical approach. Like we saw last time, it was really direct, really straightforward, and as such, really predictable.
Right, and it also outlines the true effectiveness of roam clear, because we saw that the big play of the round was that nitro cell kill from below.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. If the roamer was taken out or was dealt with earlier in the round, and the attackers gained just that much more security, they could have really been set for a plant. But we'll kind of tuck that under the rug really quickly or get into the next round. We already have 40 seconds down on the clock, and it's an engagement between Vigil and an attacker. That's Gulfin, aka the IQ, that is already in bathroom. See, the attackers are sticking it to the man. They're making their moves on top floor, attempting that roam clear scenario, and it will be successful. That's Vigil going down, but the only collateral we're going to see is IQ getting down herself, yet not out. So she's going to get revived, and well, that actually leaves us with a 3v4 scenario. Now, Sledge is down, but at the same time, Legion is as well.
Indeed, so the defenders still have a solid control on the objective, but they have, a player less than their opponents in the game, and Bullish here is not on the objective. He's kind of roaming or, holding an angle next to the OBJ itself. And as such, he's not really of a good use to his teammates as long as he cannot deal massive damage to Montaigne. And without any soft breaching capabilities, say the classic example that would be a impact grenade, he will have very little chance of getting the kill on Montaigne. However, that's not going to be Hibana down. Now a 2v3 situation as Solip has been dealt with in the meantime. So really, it might be coming down to Yushi, since we do see that Silhouette trying to go for the flank and Montaigne slowly but surely creeping in, and Gulp really just trying, or Rutra, sorry, just trying to shut Jaeger down. That's absolutely gonna work, trying to go for a double kill. Yushi is gonna evade his fire. It is now a 1v1 situation with 47 seconds remaining on the clock. Defenders have control of the diffuser, so Rutra has no choice, no realistic choice, but to go for the kill. And that's going to prove to be a tough task.
It is. Of course, she is going to drone out the smoke, so she knows where he is. She has that idea in her mind as to where she can imagine a gunfight with him, but she's going to have to make it a reality. So at this point, yeah, she chooses to go around and take the diffuser, which is in effect a pretty smart move, but she still is going to have to make her way through the smoke. That's an engagement you cannot avoid. About 10 seconds left on the clock, and Smoke is going to get down the Zofia. That is a round win for Protest Champions. 2 in a row.
Yep. Absolutely. They will be down to their tertiary site next round, so maybe that's going to be, you know, a glimmer of hope for Haha Sub. But in the meantime, let's talk about that round. This round right here that just happened. Zofia going for the diffuser was, as you said, a pretty good choice, but realistically speaking, she was never going to get the diffuser planted in this little amount of time, especially considering that Smoke was so nearby. Like, he was never gonna let that happen. So Zofia really had no choice but to go for the face check, for the firefights, and at that distance you exactly knew what was gonna happen. The shotgun was in every instance gonna prevail. So I kind of feel like the mistakes were committed a bit earlier on. To finding yourself in that situation in the first place was already a death sentence.
Right, I felt like if Zofia kept her distance and allowed herself a little bit more time to keep such distance, maybe if she had gone through bathroom at first and walked around to delivery, she could have had a plant situation on her hands and made it an all-out death match between Smoke, forced him to have to push her. The tides would be, right, the tables would be turned completely, and we could have seen a very different round, but we didn't, and we know that mistakes are made, and there's nothing you can really do to change that. It's only moving forward with the mindset that you can make the change in the future, and hopefully we'll see that.
Are we going to see spawn kills? Because, you know, the Protest Champions, they were eager to spawn kill when they were playing on console yesterday. However, this time they seem more like content to just sit back and let the pressure come their way. So let's take a look rather at the attackers. We're going to be seeing a buck, which is going to be a first. I'm not exactly sure if it's the first time we're going to be seeing frag grenades being brought forth by a Haha Sub, but definitely if Buck is capable of doing something creative with them, he might be finding one or two cheeky kills, especially since the verticality can be so important on this particular bomb site here. However, so far, he's not going to be too lucky.
Yeah, unfortunate at that, but I do love the presence of a thermite. This definitely alludes that we could be seeing a hard breach opportunity for the attack, and knowing Sunrise and Blue Bar, you don't really have that many of those, and the only one I can generally think of would be the library one, or office, or whatever you want to call it. Either way, it's I guess the only wall, or other than courtyard, that I can actively see being having a hard breach attempt made on. So that could be a really interesting engagement to be played out as well.
Indeed. Have they opened up the courtyard? Yeah, it's not been reinforced in the slightest, so Thermite is not going to open that wall in particular. And here, Chapper is set to be receiving a substantial amount of pressure, which will be distracting him from Montaigne, who I assume would be inching his way closer to the objective. Wow. However, it does not appear to be the case, and there we go. A first kill, a double kill on Gulpin and Ruchran. Nicely done, Serious Gamer. Now getting another kill. Will DXLL Dixel, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Will Buck get the refrag? Apparently not. A flurry of kills, and this is just the Haha Sub team kind of collapsing in on himself. Montaigne being the last operative, that does not bode too well. He gets a kill, but will be refragged immediately by Yoshi Frost, and that's going to be the third round won by the Protest Champions team.
Right, I think aggressive face checks really paid off for Protest Champions in that round. They were very huge on, I guess, taking it right to the attack. In a way, you could turn around the blame on the attack and say, you know, hey, they were playing a little bit too aggressive. They weren't droning enough. They weren't, you know, checking their corners, whatever you want to say. But overall, it was the part of the defense to have to take it to the attack and play off of those engagements. But I really like to see it. You know, you really do love to see those quick-paced rounds, even from the attack or the defense.
I'm just typing in the chat real quick here. So just like yesterday, the theme of suspecting players of cheating is still there, and I would just like to remind everybody, first of all, this is out of my hands. I'm just a caster. I don't have a say in the matter concerning protests, the outcome protests, and that kind of stuff. And second of all, please just try to remain civil with one another.
Right. We are entirely unbiased in the way of casting. So we're not going to call out a specific player for doing something or not doing something. It's just going to be, it's just going to be us doing our thing. It's the best we can put it.
I see the chat. Like, I know which players are being actively suspected, but like you said, this is not. I'm not responsible for this, first of all, by ESL, and second of all, it is not my place to comment on that. So I am just gonna let the people that know better than me do that, because and first of all, I'm not really qualified to look into ESL wire or MOS anti-cheat files. Like, I pop up the anti-cheat files and I don't even know what I'm looking at. So yeah, tell me I'm missing something and I wouldn't even know what exactly you're referring to, right? So alright. I'm sorry, there's gonna be two really swift kills here coming from the Protest Champions team. So apparently the initial insertion into the building itself, or the first contact, is gonna be made in Protest Champions' favor. That's gonna be ahaha and IQ lost really early on. Not too much in the case of, you know, extra important utility, like there's no hard breaching lost or that kind of stuff. However, if you look at the whole composition, it does not seem to be too utility heavy. Like Sledge, Twitch, maybe ahaha, IQ, and Zofia, they're all around good fraggers, good, you know, standalone operators, the kind of operator that you don't mind having in a 1v2 situation, unlike, say, Montang or Dokkaebi. So no one particular player is going to be extra important. It's going to be an extra VIP operator. The flip side of that is, well, it's kind of a bland composition, right? The only real shot they have is at getting the kills, it looks like. They don't really have anything that will help them to get the diffuser planted.
Right, and on top of that, if no operator is a VIP operator, then all operators are VIP operators in that sense. They all have an equal chance of playmaking and getting frags. So if you take out two or even one, then that's significantly lowering your chances of winning out the round, even as a team. You don't really have as much structure going into it, so it can make it so much harder to do anything. But wow, it's a pixel peek angle coming from the part of Mozzie and Sledge. So unfortunate that Sledge took a little bit of damage for that, and they're at even closer odds to be losing out this round with the health that they have at the moment. We see only Sledge does have health down, but in a 3v4 situation, that could be fatal. So we don't really want to be seeing that. Hoping they could play a little bit more passively, but they don't, and they still get rewarded for it. Caster's first 3v3 situation, but Mozzie goes down as well. That's on the part of Zofia. She makes an entry into the objective. Retro's going to take one. That's a double kill for him. 3v1, and tides have turned. Lesion is the single sole operator left in a part of the defense. A face check is going to make that wrong, as Lesion goes down as well.
So yeah, the tides have definitely turned. It was this is exactly what Rainbow Six is all about. This situation can stagnate for, say, 2 minutes or 1.5 minutes, right? For most of the round, the attackers were slowly making their way forward, kind of stuck in the VIP lounge, I believe it's called, and then eventually the opening just presented itself. 1-2 kills, the flank collapses, attackers are just pushing in, flurry of kills, and there you go. It's over in a split second. And really, that's all it takes in Rainbow Six. So there you have it. ahaha Sup are going to be winning their first round. And the morale, if it had been starting to tank due to the fact that they lost 3 rounds in a row, is, well, due to come back up. And as such, ahaha Sup will still remain, I hope so, on their A game, as we don't want to be seeing, you know, subpar performances from either teams.
Right, definitely felt like that last round was a... they Latin America'd their way through that one in the last few seconds. But I mean, still really good gun skill on both teams' parts. You like to see fast-paced engagements, but you also, I think as casters, we like to analyze, or personally me, I definitely like to analyze more methodical plays, because there isn't really much to unpack when you look at very fast-paced executes rather than slower ones. But hey, I mean, it's a way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is now the 5th round, by the way, so the role swap will be happening fairly quickly. And the one thing I kind of want to point out by saying this is that at this point, both teams kind of know each other. Both teams kind of know what to expect. They know their play styles, they know their weaknesses, like we saw last round, right? It takes a single kill to snowball out of control from then on, and all that good stuff. So at this point, adaptability will be playing an even bigger factor than it did at the beginning of the game, simply because the teams now have had the time to learn and now have to adapt. So definitely we're going to be seeing a bit more focus on the roaming game. So Chap is going to be right here, Serious Gamer in that general area. I wanted to take his perspective right afterwards, but as I say this, Solep is going to, well, stop Cutie Baka short with a bullet to the face. The attackers, however, were able to take a foothold on the building itself, so Penthouse is now totally in Haha Subs' control. But the defenders are going to do everything they can to stop them short there. However, Chap tried and failed. His life has been cut short as well. Now a 4v4 situation and yet 2 minutes on the clock.
Right, you are, Hans. And we do see Zofia. She's going to be wavering above, holding on luggage. Yeah, she's going to drone out that Legion. So she knows Legion is sitting there. And right, you are. That's a kill for Zofia. So unfortunate. But that allows Habana to walk right into luggage and take her place. Make a little bit more security for the attack down white. And hopefully down 90 if we want to put a duality to the push.
And a duality could be really interesting, as, for example, let's take smoke. It only takes a smoke canister to entirely shut down, you know, a doorway, a window, a corridor, that kind of stuff. So if every attacker wants to pile up, well, they will be extremely easy to shut down. Yoshi Frost using his smoke canisters. It might be a tad early in the round to do so. However, well, better just to delay the push than to die needlessly this early on into the round. So Serious Gamer might want to go for the face check, because if he does not, well, that's going to be Yoshi Frost or simply pressure. Yoshi Frost dying, but Serious Gamer getting a kill at the very same time, and there you have it. Serious Gamer himself being shut down by DXLL, and that's now going to be the blue team's second round one in a row at that. So are Haha Sub trying to mount a momentum or a snowball effect? Maybe. Definitely they've won 2 rounds in a row, so you could say they've adapted pretty well to their opponent's playstyle.
And it's really interesting because you see these very fast-paced executes make the defense crumble entirely. It seems like the attack is finding one of those outlets where the defense isn't holding on so much, or they aren't paying attention to it, we'll say, and for that they punish them. The attack was able to funnel in through that outlet and make it a living nightmare for the defense. They got a little bit caught off guard, possibly with the Zofia walking right down 90, and then the Sledge and the Habana were able to go right through the Aqua Belk and the other site, which would be A. I got completely caught off Billiard, and just take advantage of the engagement before them.
So one interesting thing here I do want to point out, we are going to be seeing a kitchen defense. British champions, they won billiards twice in a row, lost there twice in a row, and now they seem to kind of be admitting defeats. It's saying to themselves, we cannot win on the primary bomb site. We would rather have a better shot at winning on the secondary site here. Sorry for the hiccup. And to me, that kind of by extension kind of sounds like a concession of defeat, which is none too, say, encouraging if you are a Protest Champions fan.
Right?
Oh, shoot, we're still on the replays. Wow. Do call me out on that, as the attack is already happening. Yeah, this is like the one mistake I do tend to forget that every once in a while. Do not hesitate to call me out on that, since, you know, just grounding me would be better than having us watch the replays for a whole round. But there you go, Chapper going for a first kill. I do believe DXLL knew he was there. Still don't know how to pronounce that. I think I'm just gonna spell his name for the whole game. But yeah, he knew he was there. It was a face-to-face firefight. It just so happened that Chap got the first blood, or got the first landing shot. But definitely he was not firing at a say defenseless victim.
Wow, Doc going all the way down to 1 health. Is he going to stim himself back up? That's the question. So far, definitely not. But VIP, that is a huge contesting point for the attack, it seems. They're going to take control of that very early round. About 2 minutes left on the clock still. And that's very good for the attack that they can do that because it opens them up for huge verticality plays and therefore more security when it comes to post plan. And we know historically that Kitchen is very plant heavy. So if they are able to get the post plant and secure it very well, that could mean easy round for the attack. But wow, right as I say that, Chappie is going to pick up 2 and the defenders win.
Chepper got one, Serious Gamer got the other. Two kills in quick succession nonetheless. And there you have it. The the landscape is going to be basically a 2-4. I was gonna say 3-3, 2-4 for the role swap. So so far the orange team definitely does have the upper hand.
Yeah, that caught me a little bit off guard there. All the engagements going on and the defense playing very aggressively, which is definitely not a surprise because we know Protest Champions is an aggressive team. They don't necessarily play as much off of intel as they do off of pure gun skill, which of course we saw in the past, you know, losing out a few rounds is a double-edged sword, but that's a whole different problem within itself. Now, as for the attack, even though we are on par of the role swap, I wanted to say that the last round, I felt that a lot of the engagements between the attack and the defense could be avoided if the attack saw a little bit more security in whatever they did or whatever moves they made upon a certain part of the map. What I mean by that is, we'll say Nomad, for example, right? She is a flank denial operator. She is very huge on shutting down rotations for the defense, and within that, the defense was they were very rotation heavy. They were moving all around the map. They were playing very fluidly. So I feel like the attack could have really benefited from playing somebody like a Nomad or even having a flank drone on them. They play very hastily when it comes to, you know, off objective map control, and it just comes back to bite them in the butt every single time.
So interestingly enough, we have not seen Protest Champions play Valkyrie even once, I believe. And as such, Haha Sub might have the upper hand intel-wise for the first round of defense here. However, Yushi Frost's drone clearly saw Valkyrie's run out, and the attackers are going to know that there's a black eye camera out there somewhere. So that should be really easy to shut down. Nonetheless, an attempt has been made by Haha Sub to, you know, gather some intel, and something that Protest Champions never even attempted. So eventually, you know, a black eye camera is going to go undetected, and that would be bound to give the attackers a fair disadvantage. Chapper here going for a heavy wallbang, eventually hitting the lucky shot to the head. And that's now going to be the roaming gang more or less being cleared out, as every remaining defender is directly on the bomb site itself. And a camera has been shut down. I was gonna say from IQ from underneath, but she was outside, so I'm not exactly sure how that black eye camera got destroyed. Nonetheless, the next order of business would be to mount the pressure on the bomb site itself, since, you know, every outside roamer has now been dealt with. Chapper, though, getting a taste of his own medicine, taking a nasty wallbang, but that's going to be painting a huge shot on Mozzie's back, and that's going to be a swift death for him. Solid, getting a kill at the very same time. A 1v3 situation. QT Baka trying his hardest to hold on to the objectives. However, he has only one gun, and there are many ways into the bomb sites. As such, he'll be juggling from one line of sight to the other, and this is not looking too good for him.
It really isn't. And even though there is about 1:10-ish left on the clock, that gives the attackers a lot of time, but the single defender a lot of time as well. You can play very fluidly, but a face check, yeah, is going to end all of that. A very good peek in the hands of Nomad is going to shut down the Legion and give the round win to blue team, I believe. Or is it was Protest Champions.
Protest Champions.
It was, so it's orange. It's orange.
Yep. So the score line is now 5-2. And there we go for replays. Yeah, this is starting to look a bit dire for Haha. Protest Champions are looking really strong here, actually. Like, I was thinking maybe with the role swap, we might see the tides turn a little bit. You know, it was 3-0, then 3-2. I was thinking maybe Haha Sup are gonna bring this back, but no. Whatever two rounds they won earlier on seems to have been a fluke or a blip on the radar in the grand scheme of things, since they have not been able to consistently win their rounds. And we're approaching a critical point. If they're not able to win the next few rounds, well, Protest Champions will only need two more victories to take the first map. Granted, it is a best of 3, so no single mistake is going to prove fatal in the grand scheme of things. But, you know, if you lose this map, then you're going to be in a sudden death situation.
True. I definitely agree with that. However, hookah and billiards. We're back at the site we've been seeing most frequently, it seems, or at least it feels like. Of course, the defense lost this round previously, so now they're gonna be heading back there. And doesn't really seem too much of a difference in team composition, but on part of the attack, it doesn't really seem like that either. Interestingly enough, though, Ash is going to be brought. Your comments?
Well, Ash was there last round, and you know, this is Lata meta-esque, like you said, face checks above all else. No need to be overly subtle if you simply get your kills. What's it going to be worth to open, or what's going to be the worth or the importance of opening up a reinforced wall if your opponents are dead before the exothermic charge explodes in the first place, right? So I totally get the idea. However, it's quite dangerous to do so, because this makes you really predictable. If you just, you know, blindly toss flashbangs and rush behind it, the one guy's flash, the other guy who is watching over the shoulder of his flash teammate is gonna get 2 kills, because you'll probably be rushing in a really predictable fashion. Alright, granted, it's not that simple. You know, Siege has a bit more subtlety than that, but they're not exactly going for a subtle meta here.
Right. I agree with you once again.
So,
but
Doc,
so far, yeah, Doc is sitting on cool vibes.
He was the roamer previously. He was on the bottom floor, no longer is. So this seems a bit more turtle-esque strategy compared to before, and it might prove useful. Like, the turtle strat sometimes is the right thing to do. So we yet have to wait and see if this turns out to be one of those situations where the turtle strat would be the right call to make. But this is definitely what Haha Sup are going for.
Well, when you give turtle strats on Coastline, you're normally giving up a lot of area map control to the attackers, which is not necessarily a good thing, because it allows them to pinch you much easier. It kind of forces you to be a sitting duck. And with Coastline, that's definitely not a good idea due to the fact that you don't have much space to work with in the beginning. So you just become very stagnant, very stationary in one single spot, and that's not a great thing sometimes.
And we're apparently receiving pressure from the other side. Like you said, trying to encircle them, going for the pincer movement. It's now a 2v5 situation, so Smoke is already going to be using his smoke grenades. And was Valkyrie on right next to DXLO, that means the other side of the building was not being watched at all. Yushi is currently planting. This is not going to be Smoke in a 1v5 situation. He was not going to get the clutch. Let's be realistic for a second, and there we have it. This is not going to be well, match point situation.
It is. Protest Champions is paving their way through this game, not taking too many, I guess, not allowing the other team, being Haha Sup, to take rounds away from them, which is definitely good in the point of morale, being that we're talking a best of 3. It's not necessarily great for the confidence to go into the second game knowing that you got beaten very harshly, and it's even worse to have to make a comeback from that, knowing and seeing the match point words every single time you have to restart a round.
Oh yeah, this is bound to be putting a heavy pressure, or a great toll on their morale. Some teams are able to tune that out. Some teams are able to just ignore the fact that their back's against the wall and keep on playing normally like they would. But some other teams are going to just crumble under the pressure. It's a real factor, and it's psychological at this point, right? So it's really going to be it's really going to depend on the person. So I couldn't tell you if this is going to, well, be a deterrent or if it's actually going to help. Because sometimes this is all the incentives the players need to mount a comeback. There's really no way of knowing beforehand.
Right. We know that some teams are very emotionally led and others are as cold as ice, to put it very lightly. But right, you entirely agree. You're definitely going to have to see what the rest of this game entails and how emotionally led ahaha Sup is, and or how emotionally led Protest Champions is.
So if I was to take a look at this round so far, it does seem like the attackers are going to go for the two-pronged attack. Like, not everybody spawning at the same side. And this is not the kind of mistake that you'd be just doing because you forgot this type of play. So definitely we're going to be seeing a bit of pressure mounting on the OBJ itself immediately, just as at the same time Bull's going to be getting a kill at the other side, at the other opposite of the building itself. Serious Gamer already here in the hallway. The defenders will be receiving pressure from just about every possible angle, and I do believe if Valkyrie is not being careful, she might get wallbanged in a really unfortunate fashion. Like, since you don't have the audio cues of your character, should she had been in her cameras right now, she wouldn't have heard the drone. The drone did not see her, granted. I don't think it's... No, it's seen her. So you might expect Serious Gamer to try to go for the kill. All of these walls are soft, so he has an easy wallbang situation, but that was just a distraction. Valkyrie pulling back a little bit, conceding territory in order to stay alive. So far, it's looking pretty good, but the thing is, she's in a numerical disadvantage. Protest Champions, they can just throw 5 bodies at the problem if they want to, and that would be a guaranteed death sentence for Valkyrie, who will be pre-firing in the wrong direction. There you have it, Ash getting the kill. And considering this is a match point situation, it is really not looking too good for ahaha Sup.
It really is, and especially with the roam presence dissolved up on the top floor, that gives the attack free reign on VIP to make verticality moves and potentially secure a plant if they do so choose in delivery or kitchen or really just the like. But yeah, 3v5 scenario. You still have Jaeger up on the board. He's roaming, but Doc and Vigil are sitting around the objective, if I'm correct. Either that or Vigil is roaming, not quite sure. It's really rough being on Discord, but either way, it's going to be Doc now picking up a kill for himself. Vigil having the opportunity to get back to the objective, so he will, but that still leaves Jaeger sitting in blue bar on the roam. He's watching blue stairs like a hawk, or cool vibes if you want to call it that.
So for the time being, we had Nomad, who tried to insert herself into the kitchen area and try to plant. Well, she didn't have the diffuser, but that would have been, you know, the next step to get the bearer of the diffuser. I believe it is Yushi. Yeah, there you go. Yushi, if Hibana has a diffuser, getting them on the bomb side would have been primordial or of the utmost importance. However, Galpin was able to shut that down. QT Baka will be here to basically help out in this task. And Rutrap shutting down the blue stairs, the cool vibe staircase. This is not looking too good for the attackers now. Apparently, Serious Gamer, he's out of skeleton key. He is no longer in a position to open up a soft wall, and that's going to be an important kill. But now a 1v1 situation goes for the pre-fire. That totally works. ahaha Sup not out of the game just yet with a nice double kill by Rutra, who was not on OBJ. That might have been a bit dangerous. Had the attackers been able to set foot on the bomb site from another angle, say from the main lobby, it would have been done for. But no, he was perfectly positioned, knowing what his opponents were up to, and that is going to pay dividends. Are you still here? Because I feel like this would have been the perfect moment for you to chime in.
I am still here. I was just giving us a moment of silence.
10 seconds remaining.
All right. Yeah. So, do you want to analyze this?
Sure. You know what? I was gonna actually walk right into the next round, but I might as well have the opportunity to do so.
It's up to you.
Well, looking at that round, I feel like the attack had it. Okay, it was a 1v2 scenario. They could have just taken the opportunity to plant and made it a very easy round for themselves and kind of shut down the defense, right? It could have been so easy to hold post-plant 2v1, but they didn't choose to do so. It's simply what it comes down to. Jaeger just bested them in the way that his engagement played out. They got a little bit too aggressive, and that was, in a way, their fault, the attack, because they had, you know, a plant sitting right in front of them. They had, I guess, the round wrapped up you know, very nicely for them, but they kind of just let it go.
So if I were just to open up a parenthesis real quick, so in the chat people saying, can you cast our team next week and that kind of stuff. I can cast just about whichever team, whichever match. So absolutely, just tag me on the or tweet at me on Twitter, that kind of stuff. Just ask me to cast your game. I'd rather cast people that are actually interested in being casted rather than teams who simply don't care, you know. And these are going to be aggressive peaks, aggressive attempts at keeping the attackers in their spawn, which is totally going to backfire here. Haha, stop losing 2 players really early on. Once again, a match point situation, sudden death. Losing these 2 players right now is not something I think they're going to be able to recover from. However, I would be glad to see them prove me wrong, since the comeback story is almost always a nice one.
Right, you are. So, another defense player fell in the time that you were speaking, putting us to a 2v5 scenario. It looks even a little bit more bleak for the defense, but of course you still love to see a good comeback. Now, a 1v5 scenario between the attack and the defense. It leaves Bandit, aka Cutie Baka, up on the board. So he's got a little bit of time to work with, but the attackers do too. And when you have a 1v5 scenario, like you said earlier, you could just throw all 5 bodies on it and it will make sure you win. That's a flawless round, however, for the attack, as, well, Buck picks up the last kill. That was an easy engagement for him, it seemed.